neither one of us has seen this movie yet, but have you heard? What are you hearing about the new Slender Man movie? Yeah, me too.
I'm hearing bad things.
I was
Unfortunately, I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was at Rotten Tomatoes, and both the critics and the real people don't like it. They just think it's
the real people.
Lame. Yeah, well, critics aren't real people. But anyway, folks, we are going to be talking about Slender Man today, not the movie, but about the Legend of Slender Man, as well as some challenges out there that are like viral challenges that are based on urban legends. So coming up on Black Lotus. Conspiracy theories, the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, and all things strange and unusual. This is Black Lotus. So before we get started, I want to mention real quick that Ralph and I were invited to be on Jared Poyer's show, The Movie Nerd, and he is, we've talked about him before. He is a movie critic. And he does great movie reviews.
Awesome.
And, and his stuff is very, kind of off the cuff and very blatantly honest, the good and the bad about these movies.
That's what I like about it, the good and the bad.
Yeah. And anyway, so we got to be on a show with him, and it's going to be coming up here this weekend, I guess.
So come up soon.
Soon, anyway. And we did, we all did movie reviews on alien movies, which would be appropriate for us. And so anyway, so keep an eye out for that. I'm going to drop a link for that for his channel, his YouTube channel. So go there, subscribe to him, and and like his videos. And if you hit the little bell there, you'll be notified whenever he uploads a new video, and so you'll be notified as soon as our video comes up.
So. Add us on Facebook too, and you can find us there and get ideas of when we're going to be on doing extra stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about Slender Man. So those of you who may not know about Slender Man, which I think is probably a little impossible anymore.
Unless you're under a rock this year.
Right.
Yeah.
What Slender Man is he's described as a very tall, slim man who's bald and has no facial features, very much like the picture you see behind us here. And he has long, almost tentacle arms, if not tentacles themselves.
Right. A lot of pictures don't have the tentacles on them.
Yeah.
He looks extra creepy with the tentacles.
Yeah. It didn't start out with tentacles.
I don't believe, no. I think that was part of the fan fiction that added to it.
Yeah. Well, so, and where this started out, it started out on creepypasta.com, and they had a thread there called the Something Awful Forum. And in this thread, people were challenged to create a paranormal picture from Photoshop. And so what this guy did, this guy's name's Eric Knudsen, and he was going under the pseudonym of Victor Surge. And he took two pictures with kids, and he photoshopped this image of this Slender Man guy in them. And he not only did that, I mean, a lot of people just put in or submitted pictures that they had created in Photoshop. But what he did is he added some text to it from supposed eyewitnesses of this thing. Well, just by him doing this, it created this huge viral thing. And suddenly people were coming up with stories of their own about Slender Man. And it became a huge viral sensation. And, I don't even know if we should have done this. Because there's a warning that it says, do not look too deeply into the legend of Slender Man or he will find you. So maybe we might have our own.
He's right behind us.
Yeah.
We should be careful.
But anyway, so Knudsen kind of had a problem with copyright law with this. And so because a lot of people wanted, because it was going so viral, it became like fan fiction and that kind of thing. And he had to kind of fight for his right to the copyright of this. And he was quoted, he said it's not so much about money as much as it's about artistic integrity.
Right.
And he's quoted as saying, I just want something amazing to come out of it. Something that's scary and disturbing and kind of different. But you know what they say, be careful what you wish for.
Well, yeah, and you have a new idea nowadays, that's something big, because everything is a remake. So something new coming around, people are going to grab onto
and you got to
especially
protect
something good like this. He's creepy.
He is creepy. He's creepy.
Those pictures, if you haven't seen them, are very creepy too. I mean, he's just standing there in the background watching these children play on the playground.
Well, something scary and disturbing and kind of different really did happen. And that was on May 31st of 2004. And what I'm talking about here is these two 12-year-old girls in, I'm going to mispronounce this name, Waukesha, Wisconsin, held down one of their classmates who was also 12 and stabbed her, I think, 19 times. And the girl lived, but just barely, you know. And the two girls I'm talking about, I'm going to show you a picture of them right here, is Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir. And Morgan Geyser was actually the one who did the stabbing. And Anissa held her down. Now, the original plan apparently was that they were both going to do it. And they were all three friends. And they had a sleepover the night before. But now I have to be honest with you, I can't remember the victim's name.
I do not have that information. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but in any case, so the next morning, they all three went out into the woods. And the victim thought, well, we're just going out to the woods. We're going to go, have fun and play. But Morgan and Anissa had plans to kill her. And anyway, when they were apprehended, they claimed to the police that it was the first step in becoming proxies for Slender Man.
Right. And
that they would be able to go live in his castle, which supposedly is in the woods of Wisconsin somewhere. But, it's not really there. It's just...
Well, yeah, since everything was made up to begin with.
Right, exactly.
It was creepy, too, because they actually even had a name for this plot. They called it Stabby Stab Stab.
Stabby Stab Stab, right, exactly.
That's like, what?
Yeah.
This wasn't like the spur of the moment. They plotted this. And I don't know if there's a documentary. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not.
Yeah, it was a documentary by HBO originally, and it's now currently streaming on Netflix. And it's called Beware the Slender Man. Actually, really good documentary about this case. But one of the things that they claimed is that if they didn't commit this murder, then Slender Man would come and kill their families.
Right. They feel threatened by this thing, and that's why they're made to do this.
Right. Exactly. Now, they were both diagnosed with mental illness, and they were both sentenced. The one, Anissa, the one who was aided and abetted the murder, she got 25 years in a mental institution, and Morgan got 40 years, which was the maximum sentence they could give her in a mental institution as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, over this viral sensation that they happened to believe. They were 12-year-old kids.
Well, a few days after that, there was a girl in Cincinnati, also a 13-year-old, attacked her mother. And her mother survived. He attacked her with a knife, but her mother came home and found her in the kitchen, dressed all in Slender Man outfit with a mask and everything.
Oh, really?
And had her sleeves pulled up over her hands to make her arms look longer, and attacked her mother.
Yeah.
And she ended up in a mental institution also.
I know that there were several cases actually attributed to the Slender Man where things like this happen throughout the world. In fact, I remember reading something about somebody in Argentina, and also I heard that there was something that happened with a tribe here in the States, a Native American tribe, and they had a rash of suicides, and that was attributed to Slender Man somehow. And this is just it, man. I mean, we're here to talk about the legends, the urban legends thing today, but I think the main theme here is the fact that people take these urban legends way too far. I mean, it gets crazy. I mean, this is something that was created on the internet. This isn't like some age-old urban legend.
Wait till we get to the next one.
Yeah.
It's even creepier in that aspect.
I'm telling you, yeah, absolutely. And these, and the main demographic for people that are doing this are people between the ages of 13 to 24. Now, people think that, when you hit 18, 20 years old, you have your mind as your own. That's not necessarily so.
Depends on the person.
It really does. It really does. But you're talking about 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, and they're getting involved with this stuff. And, again, you mentioned the next one we're going to talk about, and that's even worse.
Right. Again, too, at 13 and that age, you're changing so much. All the chemicals going through your brain and your body has you screwed up more than you realize when you're that age.
No, most definitely. Oh my God.
So,
you're going through so much back then, during that time. I certainly did. Emotionally and intellectually, and you're trying to become somebody of your own, and then you have things like this to contend with. But
yeah,
I'm sorry?
I was going to say, the next one you were saying was even creepier.
Well, real quick, let me touch on a statement that Eric Knudsen said about this case. And he said, he was quoted as saying, I'm deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act. And he also refused to do any interviews about the thing. And I can't say as I blame him, because a lot of people blamed him for this. And he's not to blame. This wasn't his fault. This is the mindset of kids. This
was mental illness.
It really was. It was a mental illness, combined with puberty. And so, it's.
And I think partly parents too. Parents need to be a little more aware. Sometimes what their kids are looking at on the computer.
Yeah, I agree, but I have to say it's a little hard to do that when we have smartphones in the pockets of every 13-year-old out there anymore.
Exactly.
It's one thing that used to be that you would sit there and monitor what they're looking at on the PC or on the home Mac. But with these smartphones anymore, and you can try to put blockers on them, but those kids get around that. So
there's Facebook too. This was all over Facebook when it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. But to blame him is kind of like blaming Stephen King, because those kids who shot up Columbine happen to have copies of his novella Rage, which is about a kid who takes over a classroom, by force and shoots up the class. And it's not Stephen King's fault. He just wrote a story. It's about the way these kids took it. So yeah, I'm a big one about never blaming the artist for his art.
Well, that's like blaming Shakespeare for two lovers committing suicide.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We can go bring it all the way back. There's, bring it even to the Bible.
Absolutely.
We can't be influenced to the point without realizing that we need to make our own choices. And use our mind to figure out what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Even as we study paranormal stuff, we're like, okay, this was Slender Man. It was on the internet, made up. I'm not worried about running into this guy. Unless you go to the part where your thoughts bring something back to real life. We've talked about that before too.
Where you can bring it to fruition.
Right.
Yeah.
If you start believing in that, then you're really fucked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think things like that are possible, and I think something like where it comes to Slenderman, I think it's entirely possible because there's so much fan fiction out there about it, and so people begin to believe it. They can bring it into fruition. I personally believe that's true.
Scary.
But anyway, let's go on and let's talk about another challenge that's out there. I don't even know if it's really out there anymore so much, but it's called the Momo challenge.
As of 2017, there was still a lot of things happening about it, but it's calmed down now because of people stopping it.
Yeah. And you had mentioned that this thing is similar to something called Blue Whale, the Blue Whale Challenge.
The Blue Whale Challenge.
So, real quick, what the Momo Challenge is, you may not have heard of this. I hadn't heard about it until maybe a few months ago. But it's a form of cyberbullying, and it's spread by social media as well as, cell phones.
It's usually WhatsApp.
And WhatsApp. Yeah. So what happens is after the phone users are encouraged to contact this user that calls him or herself Momo, they then get graphic threats, and they're told to commit a series of increasingly dangerous tasks, and apparently they actually lead up to suicide.
Right. They're always upping the challenge. It'll start with little things, and threatening that they're going to get cursed if they don't listen to it. And then they start posting graphic images and telling them to go hurt people and do little things and hurt themselves until the point of suicide. Now,
that's something else.
There hasn't been many confirmed, but there is at least one confirmed in Colorado for a 15-year-old's death. And that's,
by suicide.
By suicide, right. That's just crazy to me that people are actually going to WhatsApp and following these people's dares to the point where they kill themselves. They actually had this kid's phone. I don't remember if it was a boy or girl, to be honest. But it had the WhatsApp in there and all the challenges, and she was recording the hanging of herself.
Well, these challenges, a lot of them are actually really dangerous, and I hate to sound like an old fart. These damn kids today, but you know what? These challenges are very dangerous. Ralph and I were talking about. We don't want to sound like old codgers and say, well, we never would have done this stuff when we were kids. Well, yes, we would have.
Some of the stuff, yeah.
Some of the things. Yeah, I can see us doing something like this.
I think we would have been smart enough not to eat Tide Pods.
Well, Tide Pods, right? And that brings me to my point about the danger of these things. A lot of these things are, in fact, dangerous. What was the other one? Snorting a condom through your nose or something like that? That's not good for you. It's not going to kill you, but it's not good for you. And so some of these challenges, I think, you were talking about how parents need to be more aware. It's one thing for them to be surfing the internet, and the parents aren't aware of what they're looking at, but it's another thing for them to be aware of what their kids are actually doing. Eating Tide Pods? Holy God! I don't even know where the hell that came from. That seems insane to me.
It seems stupid. Just plain on ignorant.
Why don't you just eat rat poison? It's the same thing, pretty much.
But anyhow, back to Momo. If you want to be aware, pick a look at this picture. Show them a picture of what Momo looks like, so they know.
Yeah.
So you can look on your kid's phone, or if you see this on your kid's phone, you know to look for something.
Yeah, creepy looking.
Yeah. It's very creepy looking. Now, this is only half of the picture, but this is the picture that they use. Now, most of these phone calls come from Japan and China and other countries where the people are using the WhatsApp. Okay. Now, this was actually created by Link Factory by artist Midori Hayashi, and it was for an exhibit on ghosts and specters. And this is not the whole thing.
Yeah. Let me show you a picture of the whole thing. It's really, really creepy.
It has chicken feet.
And breasts.
Yeah, and breasts. Yeah. It's very odd.
It's very creepy. I heard or I read that it's based on the Japanese ubumi, I guess, and that apparently that's a character from Japanese folklore. Right. But yeah, I get it.
I wouldn't want to run into that in the middle of the night.
Yeesh, God.
A lot of people are saying, though, because of this challenge, a lot of the questions they ask, too, are for personal information sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of people think that this is basically a phishing challenge.
Yeah.
Just to try to get information to get right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the more they can find out about you, the more they can possibly get into other things that are worth something to them.
Yeah. But again, it's kind of a crazy challenge, to do this and for it to actually lead up to suicide. Now, you were talking to me about this blue whale challenge. I don't know much about that.
The blue whale challenge is basically the same thing.
Now, this precedes Momo.
This precedes it, right? This was worldwide, and I mean worldwide, and it caused a lot of deaths.
Did it?
Same type of thing. You would go into what they call death groups, and they would have these challenges. And, of course, as you get to the end, they want you to commit suicide. Now, this was brought up in the Russian papers back in April of 2016 because there was 130 teenagers who committed suicide due to this app on the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
So it wasn't just there either. It was in other places. I can't even remember off the top of my head. But... excuse me, there were a lot of speculations on why the blue whale. One of the things that people thought was because it breached itself upon the ocean. Okay. Kind of like killing itself. So that's why it was the blue whale challenge. And I thought that was kind of strange. And there's another one that's based off of a Russian rock star or rock song called Luman. Or excuse me, the band is called Luman. And it's about a huge blue whale that can't break through the net to get escape.
Okay.
So that almost fits a little bit better, but nobody knows where it started. All that people know is that they ended up having to have task force go out and stop these places all over the world. They kept finding it. Again, mostly Japanese numbers, but they had organizations throughout the world. In June of 2017, Lya Sidorov was arrested in Moscow for persuading 32 kids to commit suicide.
Jeez.
Just by his one app.
That's crazy, you know.
So there's people out there that are willing to do this to your children, and you know, Momo is the new thing about it.
Well, and I can see the concern about Momo. I mean, considering the blue whale and 130 teenagers committing suicide over this thing, you know, I mean, my God, that would raise cause for alarm, you know, my God.
At first I thought this was kind of stupid, or who cares about this stupid Momo challenge, but when I looked into it, I was like, yeah, this is actually scary.
It could be, yeah. But you know, again, we've been doing stupid things for years. You know, I mean, when we were kids, we used to do something called Bloody Mary, and now there is a Bloody Mary challenge, and it's where you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you go into the bathroom, light a couple of candles, and say Bloody Mary 13 times in front of the mirror with your eyes closed, and you open your eyes, and apparently Bloody Mary is supposed to be there, and yeah. We were talking to my wife before the program today, and she had said that she did it when she was a teenager, and Ralph had asked, did it work? And she said, yeah. I looked at her, and I said, well, what happened? She says, well, she said, I didn't see her, but my face was all bloody. And I told her, I said, well, you know, that's because of an illusion, because you're in the dark room, your eyes close, and you open your eyes, and you have these candles on either side of the mirror, and it creates this illusion that, you know, your face is melting or you've got blood all over you. And yeah, so
it's kind of like one of those you ever see where you have to stare at the dot for 30 seconds and they tell you to look away and everything's going woo.
Right, but see,
same idea.
Here's this challenge now, is that these kids are doing this. They supposedly you have to do it at 3 a.m. I don't remember that ever happening.
Yeah, that's the new scary time. Is 3 a.m.
Yeah. But I remember when we were kids, we would get in front of the mirror and say Bloody Mary 13 times, and then open our eyes, and you know, we saw what we saw. Well, this one apparently you have to flip on the light or take your cell phone and take a picture as soon as you're done. And apparently some people are claiming that they're seeing something in the mirror, behind them, in front of them, staring through the mirror, you know, but every picture that I've seen is just obviously hoaxed.
It's either photoshopped or it's just and I can't think of the name of the thing when you see faces and everything. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes
I don't remember.
Paris on my thought, but anyhow, it's you can tell it's a reflection just making what looks like somebody of a face looking at you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's dark with reflecting light.
Yeah. You know, and I saw one that was just so obviously bad. It was this guy standing, this kid standing, a boy standing in front of a mirror. He's got his cell phone up, and he takes a picture, and behind him, through the mirror behind him, is what is so obviously his sister or his little girlfriend, and she's got her head down, and she's got this white dress on, and she's got her hair is completely covered. It reminds
like a ring.
Yeah, like kind of reminded me of what was his name? I can't remember her name from The Ring. Yeah.
Ooh, the Ring, but
I don't remember. But anyway, yeah. But it looked so much like that it was like, oh my God, this is so bad, you know. But at least this isn't a dangerous challenge, right, you know, like these other ones. You know, I mean, this is just kids having fun.
The most dangerous is going to be they're having nightmares for the next week.
Yeah. And you would ask why people would do this stuff, do these challenges to such extremes. But even this one, you know, is supposed to have detrimental things happen to you when Bloody Mary shows up, and it's like Bloody Mary, you run the risk of having her strike you dead, drive you mad, scratch your face, or peer malevolently through the mirror. That's a pretty big gamble, you know. I think.
We still would have done it.
Oh, sure. Hell yeah. We did, you know, and knowing the consequences, the supposed consequences, you know, we did it anyway. You know, I don't recall that I ever did it when I was a kid. Did you do?
You know what? I think I was probably been too scared to do it.
I did do something when I was involved with Wicca, and it was a form of divination, and it's a black mirror thing. And so what you do is you have this black mirror in front of you as you're sitting down, and it's a large black mirror, and they're usually fitted with sconces on the sides. And when I say a black mirror, what it is, it's a pane of glass that has been painted on the other side all black. So when you look at it, you can see your reflection, but it's all black.
Right.
But then you have these candles on either side of the mirror, and it's basically a scrying tool, the same way you would scry into like a crystal ball. But I think that's the closest thing I've ever been to something like that. But you said that you heard about some other kind of deal.
Yeah, there's another one out there dealing with mirrors called the dark reflection ritual.
Okay.
And what you do is you take a mirror. Now, you have to, first of all, have a mirror that you're willing to break. So you can't just go do this in your bathroom mirror. Okay? So you need like a hand mirror. And the older the mirror is, the more risk there is to it. And the reason for this is people believe that, or the legends of mirrors is that a mirror takes the negativity out of you. And you reflect your negativity into a mirror. And it cleanses you. Okay. Which is, we've heard that throughout years, of how
that actually sounds kind of like something you would do in Wicca, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it's a really old mirror, that means a lot of people have looked into it and a lot of negative energy is gone. So when you do is you take this mirror and now you have to do it 6 hours before, at least 6 hours before sunrise and after dusk. Okay. Okay. All right. And you take the mirror and you breathe onto it. Now, the breath is also a spirit word for spirit. So you're basically bonding with the mirror, and you fog up the mirror. Now, they recommend that you do this with several people with you. So you kind of spread the bad luck out when this happens, okay? Because you'll understand in a minute. So everybody who's with you needs to breathe on this mirror. Then you take this mirror and you take a candle and you burn it till there's a black spot on it. Again, the longer you burn it, the angrier you're going to make the bad spirits inside the mirror that are trapped there with the negative energy. Then you break the mirror. Now, the bad energy is now connected to you because you breathed onto the mirror, and all the negative energy goes into you, and and guys that are around you. Now, during the night, it's going to do horrible, bad luck things to you all night long. But if you survive the night, when the dawn breaks, you're going to be lucky. And the older the mirror and the worse that it is and the more bad luck you get, the better your luck will be. And the longer your luck will be.
I mentioned this is something you do in Wicca, and no, you wouldn't do this. That's wow.
So, again, though, why would you chance going insane and breaking this mirror for a day of, for a day or a few days of good luck?
Well, and what's that old wives' tale about how, you break a mirror, you get seven years bad luck? What about that?
Well, obviously, this one, because of the ritual you're doing, it negates the 7 years because you're breaking and dispenses it immediately to you.
We had gone, we had an itinerary here, and I had just breezed past something else that I wanted to talk about, and that is the Charlie Challenge.
Yeah.
And I got to say, Ralph, you know a hell of a lot more about this than I do.
So, well, it's just another one of those silly challenges, and I think we would have done. This is one we probably would have done too.
Yeah.
It's basically, remember, like the Magic 8 Ball, or maybe like we used to do the pendulums and dowsing rods and stuff like that. Basically, what it is, it's a Spanish game is where it actually originated. You take two pencils and you put them across each other on an X, and then you write yes and no on either side of them.
There's a picture of it, and yeah, you just balance one pencil on top of the other.
And like I said, remember we used to use a pendulum and hold it, and if it spun one way, it meant yes. If it was spun the other way, it meant no.
Right.
To me, it's very much like this.
It's kind of a poor man's Ouija board.
Exactly. Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to ask, first of all, you have to ask Charlie, are you here? And then if it says yes, you go on. You said, Charlie, can we play? And then you're allowed to ask it questions. And it'll tell you yes or no. Now, I've seen a lot of these videos, and it's people breathing on the pencils.
Yeah, probably.
You know, that's the most thing. You get all excited and you start breathing heavy. You don't even realize that little bit of breath, because those pencils are balanced, is making it move.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's still kind of scary enough to that when you play it, if you don't say goodbye to him, he'll come and haunt you.
Okay.
So this has scared a lot of people. This got so bad, and people were doing it and freaking themselves so bad out, that the Fijian Ministry of Education banned the game. Okay?
Wow.
There was actually 3 Fijian teachers that were taken to the police station for questioning for forcing kids to play it, actually.
Oh, really?
So they banned it. Okay, they said no more of this. We're not having Charlie in the schools anymore. Now, there's a lot of different stories of who Charlie is. Supposedly, he's a kid that committed suicide. He's a group of Mexican demons, that there are actually more than one of them. A victim of a fatal car accident. And there's all kinds of lores. But basically, it's nobody. Nobody really knows the true origin. It was a game that kids played in Spain when they were young. And it's kind of Americanized, and it's made internet virally again.
Yeah, yeah. It seems almost as innocent as those little things. You remember those little things? Girls used to make these when we were kids. Those little, you know.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So
I remember making those.
But I mean, it just seems as innocent as that, and they've made it into something huge, you know.
Right.
And
added the scary touch that if you don't say goodbye, he's going to come haunt you.
Yeah. So I wonder, you know, I mentioned that. This is like the poor man's Ouija board, and with all these challenges out there, and the whole idea behind challenges is to take video or take a picture of when you're doing it, that kind of thing. And I wonder, I mean, is there a Ouija board challenge out there?
Not that I've seen. Huh. There are a lot of Ouija board videos out there, though, so yeah. I don't think you need a challenge for that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. It's like the book box and stuff like that. There's those challenges everywhere on the internet.
Well, there's a good example. The Dubuque boxes. I mean, people know what they're getting into when they open these things. I mean, it's the same thing as knowing that if you contact Momo, she's going to eventually lead you to suicide. You know, I mean, so, and people do it anyway. I don't understand that. I guess my self-preservation is just a little too high.
We would have done Bloody Mary. We would have done Charlie. I don't think we would have done stupid challenges like Momo.
Yeah. Well, and then again, you got to ask yourself, well, why are they actually doing this stuff? But again, teenagers, you know, and the teenage mindset. I mean, and the things you're going through during that time of your life. I mean, I can see how kids would be heavily influenced by this.
The way these challenges are, you know, the Momo and the Blue Whale challenge and stuff, is that there's actually somebody on the other side that is trying to actually get you to commit suicide. Mm-hmm. So they're going to do whatever it takes. They're going to threaten you. They're going to find out little things. There was one I saw about a little boy that was going to commit suicide because of this, because she actually, like, they said something about, well, I know your sister has this certain doll that you don't like.
Okay.
Stuff like that. He's like, well, how does she know I have my sister? Oh my gosh, you've got to be real. They take stabs in the dark, just like, you know, some of the amateur mediums and stuff like that. They pinpoint and try to hit you. Mm-hmm. They do that to these kids. They get to know these kids, and the kids don't remember the misses. They remember the hits and think, this thing's real. I better do what it says.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Crazy. But anyway, anything else?
No.
All right. If there are any young viewers out there that are watching us right now and are looking at us and going, you guys don't know shit. You know what? I got to say, we were there with you at one time too. Don't forget that. And we did some stupid shit when we were kids.
Just don't do anything that stupid that's going to hurt you.
Yeah, be careful. You know, I mean, think about what you're doing before you do it. You know, that's all I got to say.
Never give out your personal information either to these people.
Absolutely. So, anyway, let's get out of here, man.
Sounds good.
So, again, we are going to be with Jared Poirier coming up sometime soon. So I think it's this weekend. But again, I'll drop a link for his channel. Go there, subscribe. He does some great movie reviews. If you're movie buffs like Ralph and I, you've got to go check out his movie reviews. And he just did one on Venom that I thought was good. I kind of want to see this. You know, I'm not a big superhero.
I'm over superhero movies like you keep saying too, but it looks really cool.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we're going to be doing on aliens and alien movies. So check that out definitely. So anyway, until next time, keep thinking and question everything. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe and click that little bell so you can get a reminder every time we upload a new episode.